I think it violates the First Amendment. It will turn religion into a political football.
OU law professor Rick Tepker, who has argued and won a case before the U.S. Supreme Court, says State Question 790 is controversial. The proposed amendment, if passed, would repeal Article 2, Section 5 of the Oklahoma State Constitution, which prohibits public money from being spent for religious purposes.
There should be separation of church and state. This amendment is the antithesis of that.
Tepker believes there's a hidden political agenda behind this state question.
They want to have more ability to take money from taxpayers and give it to religious causes. And as Jefferson said, that's sinful and tyrannical.
Representative John Paul Jordan, author of the proposed amendment, says that's not the case.
The idea that we're opening the gate for the state government to be funneling money into churches or directly into religious organizations, that's not going to happen. We're still under the U.S. Supreme Court. We're still under the First Amendment.
Jordan says the removal of Article 2, Section 5 doesn't violate the First Amendment or the Establishment Clause.
We're talking about removing language from a state constitution. We're not talking about putting language into it. There are 20 other states that don't have this language in their state constitution.
He says the provision has never been used for anything positive.
I don't know of anyone who's ever said, you know what, thank God that we had Article 2, Section 5 in our state constitution. Man, I really hated the fact that money was going to a charity to house some orphans.
This proposed amendment originated from the Ten Commandments Monument Court case. Article 2, Section 5 was the basis for the removal of that statue from Capitol grounds. But if that provision is repealed from the state constitution, Representative Jordan says he definitely sees that monument coming back.
About the only thing that you're looking at here that possibly is a negative is that the Ten Commandments monument ends up coming back to the state capitol.
But if the provision were to be removed, the monument would still have to go through a ratification process. Any legislature would have to run the legislation.
It would go through both the House and the Senate and then be signed by the governor.
And the same goes for any religious monument in the future.
I mean, it's not where we've now going to, say, okay, well, because this is a religious monument, you get to bypass the process.
Jordan says repealing Article 2, Section 5 would put Oklahoma back under the federal constitution, eliminating the higher standard the state law enforces.
It's basically like a cancerous tumor that needs to be cut out.
But the final decision is in the hands of Oklahomans to either keep this language or repeal it on November 8th. Lindsey Gomez, OU Nightly.